Hello, hello, hello. This is Truth Be Told. This is Dr. Walter Aka.
Hi, and I'm Dr. Leroy Horton.
And we
This is
have
go ahead.
no. This we have the pleasure, and listen, he's excited. We have the pleasure of of having Dr. Uve on. He is an incredible ambassador to dentistry, period. And I'm going to say that because of what he's doing with international students, international dentists, with just mission work that he's doing. And for me, when I saw this and when I kind of got a chance to see what he's doing on LinkedIn, I had no choice but to reach out. I had no choice but to reach out because I want people to see that there are great dentists out there doing the kind of work that he's doing, helping people out and running these missions and so forth. So I couldn't wait for him to get on, and I'm just happy that he had time on his schedule between flights.
Of course, of course.
Well, if I might add, he's doing all this while being an expert. What you often see is a lot of doctors don't have the time to be as philanthropic and be as engaged in the global community and hone their expertise. And we've got someone on the show that has actually done and continues to do both, which I think is what makes this story as amazing as it is.
Dr. Uve, I couldn't say anything better than that. So please tell us about yourself or what you're doing, and then we'll go from there.
All right. My name is Uvoh Onoriobe. I am originally from Nigeria, from the south side of Nigeria, and I did my dentistry in Nigeria initially at the University of Benin, and after a while, I just figured I wanted to use my dentistry to do some good. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just felt that my dentistry needed to serve people. So that's how I started my journey into just serving. So I when I finished dental school, I served for like 4 years. Then I said, okay, you know what? Let me come to the United States and see what I can do to, just increase the level of my skills, because I know obviously in the Western world, dentistry is way ahead, So that's how I got into the University of North Carolina initially, to do a master's in public health. So I didn't think I was going to continue dentistry, but I just wanted to do public health because I had done outreach work for like 4 years.
Wow. And one thing that I'm gonna say before we continue is, as a Ghanaian, we talk about jollof rice.
Yes.
And I don't want to bring any controversy. I have to. No, I don't. No, listen. I don't want to bring any controversy into this podcast, but I have to say the Ghanaian jollof, of course, is the best. But let's move on.
I'm a very good cook. So when I tasted the Senegalese jollof rice, give that thing Senegalese jollof rice. I mean, I know I'm Nigerian. My sisters will not listen to this, what I'm saying, but I'm telling you, there's something about Senegalese jollof rice.
And they've won the competition in DC 2 years in a row. Okay. So there's something going on with the jollof rice there. But anyway, I digress. Let me ask you something. When it comes to what you're doing, when it comes to international, what got you saying, hey, I want to help out and kind of bring the knowledge that you've acquired in the U.S. to our international brothers in dentistry?
Just part of my my mission. My mission in life is to take what I have and share with others. So that's where it comes from. So where everything I do, if anywhere I find myself, that is what I end up doing. So when I got to dental school, as I went back to dental school after I finished my master's in public health, I went to UIC in Chicago, and I just got into the clinics, and I'm like, I remembered home. I remembered what I was taught. I'm like, I owe it myself to take an articulator. I owe it myself to take a surveyor, and because I read about these things, but I never saw it in dental school. I never saw a surveyor. I never saw it. I mean, not if I use it all the time these days, but, just the fact that I could, just share the knowledge. So that's how I started. So I will always go back home to see, look at where they are in terms of just, prepping teeth, in terms of magnification, Magnification. Many dentists outside the United States don't use magnification. So I'm like, you guys, you're not seeing what you're doing, you cannot, but I'm impressed at what they do with given the resources that they have. But I'm saying, just little things like that, just magnification and light. I mean, you know what that does to your own dentistry, right? Just magnification and light. I'm not talking about dentistry, because dentistry is pretty much the same. But in terms of that level of finesse, I mean, if you have it, then then you are at par with the rest of the world. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So you came here, and I part of my story is I immigrated when I was a teenager to the U.S. and I know when you immigrate there can be social difficulties, right? Finding a community. However, the Nigerian community is pretty large here, especially the Nigerian immigrant professional community.
Yes.
When you first moved and got to North Carolina, did you find a home with other Nigerians or other immigrants, or were you isolated while you were getting things figured out?
I mean, so I had friends from my college days. So we would talk. We had like an alumni, where we would just share ideas, and everybody knows who is in the country, and people will send you advices in terms of what to do. So I had that, but in my mind, I knew exactly. I wanted to go to. Nobody could dissuade me. They're like, "Oh, go to dental school." I'm like, I want to get an MPH. That's what I came for, and I knew exactly what I wanted. I didn't know I was going to do dentistry, but I knew I needed to be a public health physician just to learn about how to share what I had. So when I went there, obviously we had people helping. I had this guy, there's a guy out of North Carolina. He would not let me rest. He's like, dude, you need to take your exams, You've been in this country for 4 years. You need to take your exams. That guy would not let me go. He said, Uvoh, you don't know what it means to be a dentist in this country. For me, I had to go with school. He was a senior in Nigeria. And he was telling me, do your exams. So that guy was instrumental. I was doing my MPH. I did a residency in dental public health. So I did all that. I'm like, the guy like, no, do these exams and your life will be changed. And obviously that community, that connection with somebody who I knew, made me, it kind of changed me and put me in the right direction.
Can you tell us when it comes to, you said the difference in the way we do dentistry in the US versus in, we'll say, Nigeria, since that's where you kind of came from. Can you give us some like stark differences? Because you talked about magnification, you talked about lights. Like what, I mean, give us some differences so people can actually imagine how dentistry is so different.
Dentistry in Nigeria, so from high school, you can go into dental school from high school. So from when you graduate from high school, you go into dental school, and dentistry is about 6 years in Nigeria. In America, it's 4 years after college. So you are young, you do all the anatomy, chemistry, and all that stuff, preclinicals. You do it up to so you join the medical student. So the dentists and the medical students are in the same class for 3 years. Then they separate by the 3rd year. So you essentially do dentistry for like 2 years. So it's not so that's the difference. So after the 3rd year, the 4th year, you do pathology, you do some medicine and surgery. I think I can deliver a baby, I can take deliveries, because you are taught so much medicine and you want to be a dentist that is at par with your medical folks. So you think, you want to be a doctor. So you kind of do all the medicine. I mean, I can literally do some kind of surgeries because we were in there spending all our time doing medicine instead of dentistry. So if essentially you get into dentistry and you have in your 6th year, and you have 1 year, sort of, you have about 2 years to do dentistry. So that's the difference. So you don't have enough time, and that's how it has always been because it follows the British system, So getting to America, I see the 1st year dental students. I mean, I could just the wax-ups, those guys can do stuff. Some 2nd years are already thinking about placing implants. They are already, that is a huge difference. You do that for 4 years. I mean, it's different. It's different. So that's why I'm like, we need to send back. Obviously, we cannot change the 6th year model over there, but in terms of incorporating clinics earlier, in terms of, I'm thinking by the fourth year, you should be doing adding some, so apart from, prosthetics where they do, some wax ups and some, denture stuff, in the fourth year, they do that. But in terms of actual dentistry, some things need to be done, that's what I was like, okay, if I'm here, all the little knowledge that I have, let me just take it down. Obviously, when I look at myself, sometimes I think I'm not the dentist for America. I was trained here. What I got here is to go back. It's brain gain. I got to take it back. Most of the folks I see over there, they want to come to America, and I'm here. And I'm like, you know what? I'm taking the knowledge. I'm supposed to go with Dr. Horton to Kenya to do a class for
we
this.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Anybody I see, I'm trying to drag them to see how we can better that, because there's still a population of people there. There are millions of people who don't have access to dental care. Millions. I just came out from Kenya and I cried because of what I saw. I'm like, it's not expensive. You just provide the care. Obviously, so that's what's driving me to be able to take the little that just how to prep tooth. Mannequins, because we prep all kinds of teeth for long hours. I mean, these students don't have as much time to work on mannequins. Plastic teeth is like gold. You do it for like 3 weeks and you're done. But here you can practice and practice. And I still practice on plastic teeth if I want to check out something. If I take a course on veneers, instead of doing, I can still practice. But those facilities are not readily available.
Okay, let me ask you something. If you look at the American system of schooling, where it's 4 years of undergrad followed by 4 years of post-grad education, right? Medical, dental,
Yes.
or whatever. Versus, I know in the European system, and it sounds like in your system as well, in Nigeria, it's straight out of high school. You got to know what you want to get into. You have to test into it.
Yes.
Which one do you think is better for the person, the human being? Being able to choose at a young age and get started early in life, or being able to have a little time to mature and then maybe be more certain of your decision a couple years later?
Both of them have their pros and cons. But when I look at it, I think obviously most of I just take a look at the students who are coming in, who did a college degree before. They know what they want to do. Some of these kids, they know from day one, I want to work in an FQHC. They go to dental school knowing I am going to be working for 5 years to pay my student loan. I mean, they are more mature, I think. So that kind of helps you in terms of you jump out of school and you already know what you need to. But the other way too, you stay. Dental school is rough in those 6-year programs because trying to get through the MB. Some people don't make it. Many people don't make it in the British system. But so by the third year, people fail out. So the class keeps the bottom, it keeps getting, you start with a class of about 60. At the end of the day, you have about 25 graduates. That is typical. But here I can see large classes, 120, 120, 120. People rarely fail out, so because they are mature and the system is not meant to, castigate you or make you feel down. You are supposed to learn. So it's a school. But there, people join, they're young, they're playful, or maybe they don't even know exactly what they want, and and the exams are rough, and too many things, medicine in your head, and by the time they graduate, you start with a class of 50, sometimes 15 graduates, so those are the things that I see with both of them.
Is it free in Nigeria like it is in the European
school? I mean, we paid school fees, but I came to America debt free. I mean, when you graduate, you don't owe anything. Nice. So I came here, and for me, I'm like, I refuse to be stuck. I refuse to be stuck with student loan. So when I finished dental school here, I joined the Army. I'm like, I need someone to take this load off of me so I can still serve, so I can go out and serve people. So I'm serving right now as a major in the U.S. Army, just to be able to, helping to serve our veterans. Also, I work in the VA as well, so all that, taking my load off so that I can, because it's expensive. So that's people think, oh, it's expensive, but dentistry, if you work like Dr. Horton, you can pay off your student loan just like this,
Well, thank you for your service, brother. I didn't know that part of your story. I didn't know you were in the military right now.
Yes, I am.
That's awesome.
Wow. So, yeah, man, you said a lot. I'm not even gonna lie, you said a lot. This is beautiful. I want to ask you about your mission work, because I think
Yes.
that's the part that really, because I've done mission works in Honduras and then also in Kenya. And I was very, very lucky to do both. And I want to ask you, one thing about mission work is trying to get people to go with you. We know
Yes.
you have the heart. We know you have the knowledge to do this, but how do you get people, other dentists, to come with you? How do you get students to maybe go see and say, hey, I want to do this going forward? Like, how do you establish this? Because you're doing very well with it. So how did you establish this and get people
I think it's just the use of social media, just being able to reach. So everybody who knows me, you know, if you talk, if we spend time talking for like you know, maybe 5 minutes, you're going to hear about a book called Emptied Cup. Emptied Cup is a story of all my mission trips. You know, so I'm like, as I put everything in a book so that I can share. I just came back from a book tour. I was in Calgary, Canada. I went to look for my schoolmates. I'm like, guys, you need to come on a mission. So I went to Dublin in Ireland, looked for my classmates, and told them I went to the UK, several cities, doing a campaign to be able to drag our friends. You know, guys, you can serve. I've done this for 25 years. It's not that hard. On social media, I share a lot of photographs and stories. And with every trip, something touches you. You know, I went to Malawi. And, you know, I got to say this here. You know, I went to Malawi and somebody offered me a dish, and it was like it had, you know, like mouse. The mouse was like a delicacy. They were laughing at me. They're like, try, doctor. I'm like, no. There's something called chicken and beef. You guys don't eat the mouse. They were like laughing at me and rolling on the floor that I don't even know what I'm missing. I'm like, no. You know, some of those places are really difficult, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you just want to be there and be a part of a people. So, you know, you get to share in the culture. And so I kind of drag, using social media right now is what I think has helped, because when I share the stories, so if you are my friend, you will see it. And sometimes I send the message out. And recently, this book has kind of helped in me, you know, be able to share my stories. And people were like, okay, you know, in Dublin, I tell you this, I was in an elevator. So I had rented a space in a hotel, and I sent an invitation to all my friends from way back that I'm in Dublin. Come, let's talk about missions. I met this gentleman in the elevator. He looks like a Nigerian guy. I'm like, hey, sir, how are you? Are you from Nigeria? He's like, okay, we just shared. I'm like, I'm having a meeting in the evening. Can you join us? He said, okay, all right, we'll be there. The gentleman came, and he was blown away. I mean, like, he said he has been waiting for years to serve in missions. And all of a sudden, he meets a guy in the guy is much elderly, he's like in his 60s. And he said, I want to do something. The guy, when he got back to Nigeria, he sent almost like, I think like $500. I mean, he's a Nigerian guy who wants to do missions. And he's like, I want to do it. Can you show me how? I just met him in an elevator just because I just couldn't keep quiet. I was just like, trying to, it's like I've become an evangelist of dentistry, you know, to my colleagues in terms of I take the word, that's the word that I have, that we can serve with your gift. You can make a difference in the life of somebody, and that is the story that I keep telling, and it resonates with many people. So people think about safety. Oh, will I be safe? Where will I stay? Who will I room with? You know, all those things are there. But, you know, at the end of the day, when you get on the trip, you know, you wouldn't remember, or you know, the joy that comes from serving changes.
So let me follow up with that then. When it comes to raising, like doing fundraisers,
yes,
how do you pay for these missions? How does somebody, you know, who wants to help pay for these missions? What do you do to fundraise, or do you fundraise, or how do you go about raising money for these missions? Because I know that they're not that cheap.
Yes.
I mean, we know flights in general aren't cheap.
A typical trip costs like 3,000 to 3,500, depends on where you're going. And crowdfunding, so I went into, GoFundMe, I would send it to my friends on Facebook. I could make appeals. If people wonder, this guy, you're a dentist from America, you shouldn't be asking for money. I'm like, I get paid so I can pay my student loan. Okay, for this mission, we need money. So I registered a nonprofit called Healing Hands Health Society, so that with that platform, I'm able to travel. I'm able to raise funds and responsibly in terms of, and let people know, account for all the collections that I take, and they can see. So we have a board that oversees all that. So that nonprofit kind of helps. Then crowdfunding, and sometimes I go with some groups that need a dentist. If not, the mission is not going to be successful. So when such groups meet me, I'm like, I don't have the money to go on this trip. If you guys need a dentist, I'm here. So sometimes I go to these missions, or the group pays for me to be there. So that is how it has happened, because they need a dentist. I'm available. I don't have the money, because I only started working not too long. I've been going to school in this country forever. I go into dental school. I did pros residency. I just graduated 2022. So I think it's not about money. It's not about money, because I've never really worked. I don't have the kind of monies that you guys have, But I have.
He's talking about Dr. Horton.
I think passion drives you. It brings resources. If you have a vision, then resources are going to come to you. So I'm very passionate about it, and people know me, and people give, and somehow, obviously, we do all that crowdfunding on Facebook, on social media, and obviously some groups pay for me to be there.
Well, pardon my preamble to this question here. So I read this book called Toxic Charity by Robert Lupton. And it made me think about the conversation me and you had, where you said it's not enough to just do missions. You wanted to set up infrastructure in those places so that they're self-sustainable, right? And I won't get into the backstory of the book, but it kind of touches on that it's not just our responsibility to just volunteer, go out, spend a week in wherever, and then come back home. But me and you were having an extended conversation about actually setting up the infrastructure for implant education in some of these schools in Kenya and Nigeria. Yes. What are your long-term plans for actually revolutionizing the educational industry in those areas after your experience here in the U.S.?
I wanted to find out, am I able to share a screen here?
Yep, go ahead. Give me a second, please.
Okay.
And then we can absolutely have everybody share, because I think it's important. You are free to share, please.
Okay. All right, let's see.
And while you are, setting it up to share, I just want to repeat, Emptied Cup is the name of your book. Could we get that book at on Amazon, or where do we look?
It's available on Amazon. It's
Beautiful.
Available on Amazon.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's something that I think everybody needs to understand, and maybe we can. I'll put that in the show notes so that we can get people to read it, because to me, there's so many mission trips and so many things going on, but I don't think we do enough of that. I don't think we as dentists in the U.S. understand how lucky we are. In all honesty, how lucky we are to have the opportunity, like you said, magnification. I know dental students who have magnifications from day one. And for you to say that, that's a luxury to have Tippet-on teeth. I remember in dental school, I destroyed probably hundreds of Tippet-on teeth.
I know. So that makes a difference. You just right. So I looked at implant education as an access, is a way to reaching all the dentists in Africa. So I went online and I said there are 8,000 dentists in Africa right now, in terms of 8,000 qualified. It's a small number. and they are rich, so you can imagine the population of Africa, how many dentists per, it's like maybe 100,000, to one, yeah, so it's not enough. So I decided to come up with a training program called, which I have on this website here, where the plan is to teach the dentists or just support their implant education. And then when we need to do a mission, they are the ones that volunteer. So right now, I have an email list of over 2,000 dentists in Africa, active dentists. And so we're going from country to country to do implants, training, which we started in Nigeria. So we are forming implant clubs, dental implant clubs in each country, so that we can keep the group of people in one place and share with them techniques, and also help them to procure the implants, the implant systems, and the surgical kits. This gentleman on the right was my teacher in dental school. He was my professor, and when we go back, he's like, I want to learn how to do implants. I'm like, okay, that's why I went. That's why. I mean, he was like really humble gentleman, And so the instructors are there, and the younger dentists are there. So we're holding implant workshops in Nigeria, in Kenya. We're going to start in Ethiopia and Rwanda. So I'm taking, just maybe in the next 10 years, we'll be able to cover everything. And hopefully we can bring both of you to come do a conference. We just need an implant expo by us, implant expo by us, that we can hold in one place that will attract folks from West, East, and Southern Africa. People are willing to come. So far they know it is affordable. So I'm working on Ethiopia and Rwanda. I did Kenya this year, and Nigeria already has about 7 implant clubs. Hopefully we're going to go to Uganda and Zambia very soon.
Now, I don't think people get the gravity of that number. You said there's 7,000 to 8,000 dentists in all of the whole
Africa.
continent.
Yes.
Now, mind you, in the U.S., there's a little over 200,000 in just the U.S.
Yeah.
So when we talk about access to care and the availability of providers, that is a tremendous disproportion in access. But it also means that there is a huge untapped market, even if we're looking at it from a biomedical and industrial lens.
Of course.
That's a huge market.
Nigeria has a population of 300 million people. In Nigeria, the active dentists working is about 2,500 to about 3,000. So it kind of fluctuates because people leave. They finish dental school, they come to the US, they go somewhere else, so it's between 2,005 to 3,000. And we are serving 300 million people. I mean, 200 million, they don't go to the dentist. They don't go because most dentists are not found in rural areas. They are found in cities, urban areas. So there are so many people there are people who die from people die from dental infections on a daily basis. It's like, the gods are angry. I'm like, come on, we can stop those gods. We can preventive dentistry. The gods can't be that angry. We just need light. There's so much, darkness in terms of knowledge, but within that, they're still doing a good job, but a lot more can be done. I went to this place these guys are willing to buy input. I'm like, I'm looking at your kits, your surgical kits should come with me anytime I'm going, and you will sell any number you take there. I'm telling you, in terms of the market, people are willing to buy. They just want to be guided and given some support. Implant systems. I'm talking to China. I'm talking to Israel. Folks in Israel, in terms of the cheaper implants. Israel places a lot more implants than most countries, but their prices are relatively very affordable. So I'm working with an Israeli company to supply implants. And as we go on, I'm looking forward to having our own implant system. Why not? Why not? Why shouldn't we have our own implant system? What does it take to make one implant? If the market is there, and there's a guy, Dr. Nombisi with
the ceramic guy, ceramic implant guy.
Yes. He's from Cameroon. Okay. So I think this podcast is going to move to Africa very soon if you guys are willing to come. Yourself, we just need to be some brown guys coming to Ghana for an implant expo. If you see it in 2024, it's going to come to pass. Yourself, Dr. Nombisi and Dr. Gadia Peabody, as a gentleman all the way in Michigan. I mean, 5 of us can change that continent with one program where we do live, hands-on. I mean, Africa is ready for change. I mean, people want to go back, come to the US. Any of my colleagues, in Nigeria, it's called JAPA. I don't know if you guys have heard it. JAPA is the exodus of professionals. And they finish from dental school, they just leave. The country is getting empty. And for me, I see it as an opportunity to go in there. I'm like, I'm going back. You guys want to come here? I'm ready to go over to you to see what we can do with the colleges, with the universities. So I'm moving from one college to another, doing this implant training the trainers so that they can teach the students. So that's my big 20-year plan.
Yeah, here we call that a brain drain. So a lot of countries are seeing a brain drain, unfortunately. A lot of European countries, like where I'm from in Greece, everyone, because the economy is so bad, that has the ability to leave. All the intellectuals, all the professionals, all the much needed professions, they're all going to either other parts of Europe or coming here to the US.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about using or getting companies to support or sponsor this stuff. How difficult have you found it to be? Because I saw that Straumann was one of the posters, but I want to know, like, from your point of view, how difficult, how receptive are these companies to help you with your mission?
I've not been very successful in getting the big, because they look at it in terms of what's the market, what are people willing to buy? They've not given it much focus in terms of, they don't think, there's a lot of money there yet. Straumann that sponsored this outreach was Straumann USA. So Straumann that comes from, that works in Africa is mostly in South Africa, and they are not selling Straumann, they're selling Neodent and some other products, which is, more affordable to that population. So it's not the real, nobody uses Straumann. I don't think any of the doctors uses Straumann, because Straumann is like, it's like $500 or $600 for one implant.
It's expensive.
Yeah, so the price, so all that, the market too, trying to see that, it is a viable market. That's a struggle. Most of them I've not seen. But from my hopping around different countries, I see people are hungry, people want it, and they have money. So these folks have money. I'm telling you, they pay for stuff cash. We go to the bank and get a loan. People buy their house. Now there's a lot of mortgage coming out, but most people pay for their houses cash. They build it and it's theirs. They don't owe anything. So there's a lot of cash over there, and there's a big opportunity to make a change in those countries. So I try to offer free training to all the dental students. I got, so I'm still telling them, you can come join the class, and I'm coming there. So right now, I'm kind of getting the Israeli product because it's affordable, and I'm, contributing it to some schools. If they are willing to listen, I give them just the parts. I got sawdust from, the bone from different companies, and to see how we can actually print the bone. I'm like, we should be able to print this stuff over there instead of, depending on anybody to make it. So all that is in the.
Are you able to share which company this is? The Israeli company?
It's the MSDI.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yes, MSDI. I mean, it's working. It's working. I mean, the people who have attended this webinar, like this lady here, this was in Ibadan, and there were about 50 of them in that room. We could have gotten easily 100 or 200. I had to restrict the numbers. So I teach them this, and we now practice. We do a little on live patients. They've taken it up. The folks in Enugu, in one part of the country, they've placed over 50 implants since the last time I was there. So we do have these implant clubs where we look at the radiograph, we look at the patient, we kind of plan the case together, and they execute it. Most of them with some grafting alongside. And when I see the pictures of the x-rays, I'm like, you guys are not doing badly, I must say,
All right, but you're a prosthodontist, correct? And
yes.
Congratulations on your recent graduation. We celebrate you for that. Here's a question I always have about a lot of these courses where you place implants. Because, even here, you can go to Tijuana, you can go to Dominican Republic and place 50 implants in a weekend. Just to comprehensively look at it, who's restoring these implants? Is there a system in place when you have students that place the implants to actually finish out the cases and get teeth for these patients?
Over there, right now, the students don't place any implants. The students hardly have bone to place to do it on. So it's not even for students. So not even for the resident, because for you to be able to place the implant, you must be able to buy the kit, the moto and the surgical kit. So it's mostly private practitioners that I see placing. Most of the schools don't place implants regularly. Maybe a couple schools, University of Ibadan, University of Lagos, two universities that I know, Ife, where some of the doctors, the consultants do place implants, but students, so we do have. So there's that's usually a challenge in terms of the labs that can support this work. So there are labs in Ghana, there are labs in China. China is there. China is representative. You just mail it to China and they get it back. And there are labs in Beirut, Lebanon. There are labs in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, that people send their cases to. So that is still an issue in terms of. But I think for they need to learn the whole process in terms of not just placing it, how to restore it on a mannequin, restore it on a cast. So that's what the class is all about. So we do place it, and we do take impression, telling them about closed open tray, the impression materials and all that stuff, and pouring it up and getting them to fabricate a temporary crown on so that they go through the process. Because most people just take impression, they just feel, oh no, the lab will do everything. So on the lab, whatever comes back, you have to deal with it. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it's awful. So there's a huge market to have a lab that services Nigeria. Nigeria needs, I'm going back, I'm looking for, I'm like, I need to set up, in my long-term plan is to set up a center, an implant or a dental hub that has digital stuff and being able to fabricate crowns, zirconia crowns. You just need some, doing the staining and all that you can teach. There are lab folks over there, but in terms of long-term, it's a great need, and there's a lot of money to be made as well.
So last question from me. When it comes to seeing the full picture, when it comes to being able to explain to colleagues the importance of doing this so that we can spread the message and the word to Ghana, Kenya, I saw South Africa, Rwanda, being able to spread this message so that we can actually get the quality of dentistry to increase a little bit. Yes. In Africa and throughout the world. Like, what would be something that you would say to them, to your colleagues, to say, hey, let's get going here? What could you say to them to get them motivated or excited? You can even talk about dental students in the US going over there. We have residents that could easily go over there. So what could be, what could you tell them to get them excited and and basically not think about like the money aspect? Because again, if you're a resident, you may not have that money to go over there.
Yes. I think there's at the end of the day, there's joy in giving back. At the end of the day, you'll get more fulfilled when you give it away. If that's where it comes from. Giving it away and increasing the capacity of the providers on ground to take care of their population. I think it's nobody can pay you for that. It's so fulfilling to be able to transfer knowledge and that will take care of ailing populations, people dying for no reason, and just because you were there to show us a little trick. I mean, because these guys already have the knowledge. They understand. These guys, they know the theory of everything. But in terms of just encouraging and being a part of, and they will show you too how to do it. They do stuff and they do it within limited resources. So sometimes, if you don't, can you imagine walking without suction? I don't know if you can imagine walking without suction. Most of them don't have suction in terms of when there's no power supply. So they've been able to figure out how to get stuff done with minimal resources, but all the things, you have high volume, you have saliva ejector, you have all those things working. Can you imagine you going to a place where those things are not functional? Can you function there? So that way you get to learn something too, in terms of how do you do dentistry in a low resource setting and still be able to give a good quality of care. But I think just giving back and helping is so fulfilling, and you can change the mindset, you can change the way education is over there. I think it's a big, because that keeps on giving, because whatever you do to increase education, it never ends. So right now I'm working on training the trainers. So you teach the instructors are going to teach thousands of students after you're gone. So I mean, what can be better than that you are changing a continent just by going on a trip? So you have an opportunity to be light, in a dark place. I mean, your little light. And if we all bring our lights, the little light of whatever you have, the knowledge, the light of whatever you bring, the place is going to be lit up, and we can help ourselves.
Well, I tell you, this has been an inspiring almost hour of conversation. I don't know if you can see here, but I just bought your book, brother. So I'm looking forward to reading it. It's like I said in the beginning, it's rare to see someone who, because a lot of us, even those of us that are nerds of this game, we sometimes get focused just in the science, just in the profession. And you've been able to, like I said, be an expert, but still be a global servant, right? Yes. And not only in the sense of I'm giving so I can feel good about it, like you're legitimately trying to change the landscape and mold the future, and I think your energy is so infectious. I'm trying to sign up, I want to sign up for this. But what do you think your parting message is to the students here who, may have connections, direct connections with family in Africa, or those of us that are, kind of ancestors in the diaspora who, although now we might know our DNA, lineage, we're looking for a connection to go back home, and doing it in a professional way kind of gives us a link, gives us a platform to do so. What's your message to those of us here who have the ability, the talent, and potentially now the inspiration to go back?
I must show you this. It's as though we prepared this talk. Yeah, let me see. Okay. Yeah. So I've been thinking about how to get this done, but and this is me here in Kenya about a couple months back. I went into this church, and I was with two other. They were not dentists. They were like a lab tech and one other some assistants. So there's no suction. That's the bucket, the speed bucket. But I'm going there, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I meet some dentists, and I can train them. Then a lady comes in, and she's like perio. I mean, everything was floating, everything like floating literally. And I'm like, what I can do, I don't have to send this lady away. I can do something about this. I can change her life right now. This lady was, sorry to say, she was smelling. I mean, if you go close to her, I mean, you would cover your nose. Nobody wanted to go close to her. She wore a face mask, and by the time we're done, I had to take out everything. And she was like trying to hold on to her floating. I said, ma'am, no, everything needs to go. Then we'll I'm a pros guy, so I feel responsible. If I take out it and she puts something back, we made her an immediate denture. I mean, if she was going to get married again, that was that day. Because when I saw her a week after, she was crying and laughing at the same time. Our kids were crying like, "Mommy, what happened to you?" She said, "I met an angel called a dentist. He's not a human being because he helped me without taking any money. He stood with me for 5 days and he got me this new set of." She stood in front of a church and she said, "I was blind, but now I see." So if you're coming out there, if you're a student and you want to be able to feel what I'm talking about, then you need to go on a trip, and you have the opportunity of changing the life of at least one person. And when you come back, I can assure you, you're going to see life differently. That the things that the skills that you have that sometimes might not even be appreciated, if you go out there, it makes a huge difference. That woman has changed the way I think. I'm going back to Kenya and we're going to stay there for 3 years because we have 1,000 patients. All of a sudden, 1,000 people with perio showed up standing. I'm like, I need a plan for this. So students can actually learn how to take out teeth and do immediate dentures on this trip. So dental schools can actually benefit from this by taking your students to a place where you are going to be able to do stuff, the things that you need to do in a low resource setting. You probably don't have all the things that you need, but you'll be able to do it safely and neatly, and you come back having gained some knowledge, especially for the students and residents. Then I'm placing, there's so much you can do. So that alone, that story is what has kept, that is taking me, to Kenya. And I believe that anyone who goes on such a trip will come back changed and with the mind to be able to do more, especially even here. We have an opportunity to do that even in the United States. There are many people who have, who don't have access to dental care just because of, insurance or work or whatever circumstances life threw at them, but more so in other parts in Africa where, it's about 100,000 patients to one dentist.
I'm gonna just kind of say that I got an opportunity to do a mission trip in Kenya as well. And I'm gonna say, just in general, when you do mission trips, despite where you go, one, you feel so appreciated. The skills that you've acquired as a dentist, and when you get to use it for people who may not be able to afford, or people who are grateful after you're done. That rejuvenates you. I don't care who you are. That rejuvenates you so much to see the light and to appreciate what you have as a dentist. Because, we may be going through work and we may have patients that don't appreciate what we do or complain, or assistants that complain, or front office that complain, or you're dealing with insurance, you're doing all these things. And then when you do a mission trip, it allows you to really settle back down and say, one, how blessed you are, and two, how grateful you are that you have this skill that you can share with other people. So everything you've said, I mean, you've said it way more eloquent than I have, but everything you've said is 100% true. When you have the opportunity, why not give? And it doesn't take a lot of time. I think in the US, we waste more time on social media. Now imagine if you cut out, a few hours of that social media, equal it all up, and then just go do a mission trip for a week. How much more could you actually benefit people, right? Instead of, watching your series on Netflix, just take that time and go serve somewhere, and I think you would appreciate it a lot more, man.
It's an amazing, it's an amazing experience. I don't know what cannot there are no words to describe what you feel and what you get from giving back. You know.
Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate you.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know if I've been doing this a lot with Dr. Horton, and I've never seen him speechless. So you've done something that that I've never seen, and so for that I appreciate you for that. But it just shows the wisdom that you're speaking. So it's truly impressive, man.
There was too much to listen. There was too much good things to listen to. I had to just shut up and listen, my man.
Right.
And, we should come back and talk about the lady that we saw. So I mean, you guys, so we can talk about, I don't know, in terms of just perio and what can be done. Yeah. How could these have been prevented? That's what they were asking me.
What we do is also we can connect and maybe do like a 5-10 minute presentation of like what you do in the mission trip. So if you have any pictures or anything you can put together to show what the mission trip looks like, I think that would be very beneficial for people.
We should do that. There's room for sightseeing too. You get to see the country.
But don't tell them about that yet. Just show them. Don't tell them about that, because then you're gonna have everybody going thinking that it's a vacation. No, we're gonna work a little bit.
But Dr. Uvoh, before we go, if you can plug your book one more time, and we didn't even touch the fact that your YouTube channel has like almost 200 lectures on there.
Yes.
All of them great. I don't know how you amassed that. You got thousands of subscribers. If you can plug that real quick, and we can maybe put it in the show notes so we can drive traffic your way.
Okay, let me come there. Yeah, I mean it's been 3 years. I mean, COVID was supposed to bring sadness and out of just the ashes of COVID. Let me see. During COVID, I'm like, okay, what can I? Because I'm I'm a missionary guy, so I have to give something. I have to give. Let me see. I can put this here.
Yeah, because I don't think people understand if there's so much good content that you've amassed on your YouTube channel.
I mean, it was during COVID. I just had this dream. What can I do to change, just to make a difference in the lives of our people? We're all there, and I started thinking, okay, implant education. It's not as if I've placed. I've not placed more than 100 implants in my life. I know folks, in the same program as myself who place up to 200, but I'm just passionate about the one that I placed. I can tell the stories, and these guys really helped. My professor back in University of Michigan, Dr. Razzouk. Dr. Razzouk says, wow. That's all he said. He's like, you have so much energy for this stuff, and he connected me with Dr. Srivinas Coker, the dean at Mississippi. And I mean, from one person to another, I'll just send an email and folks will be willing to just give the lectures, knowing that it's going to serve a greater purpose out there. And I got some very fantastic lectures. I mean, when I go back there, I'm like, if I need to learn anything, that's where I go. There's one on crown lengthening by Dr. Ye Shi. She's in New York. She's a periodontist right now. That has over 10,000 views.
Oh, beautiful.
Everybody's like, whoa, wow. I'm like, okay, I was there. Can I listen to it again? Maybe I didn't get, I was just amazed. And I'm telling the students, go there and learn something, and hopefully people find it as a good resource. But for me, it was just a resource that I could use for myself.
What's the YouTube page?
It's called Dental Webinar Series. Just right here, Dental Webinar Series with my name. So if you type Dr. Uvoh Onoriobe Dental Webinar Series, you see. I mean, he has different, but most of them were the implants focused. So that was what I was working on then. So
Okay.
dental webinar series with my name.
Perfect. What we'll do is we'll basically post that in the show notes. And I'm actually gonna go check it out because I love watching these things. And the fact that the perio person got the most the most views makes me happy.
Yes.
Makes
I'm telling you,
I'm not,
went.
I'm not biased or anything, but I feel
You know,
like
I'm thinking of becoming a periodontist at some point.
listen, you need to just start working. You're like Horton. All you guys do is school, So, but no, honestly, thank you so much for taking the time. And on the screen, you'll see the book again, Emptied Cup. I think it's I'm gonna purchase it tonight. Dr. Horton has already done the purchasing, so I'm gonna have to do that because I can't have him one up me. No, it'll be an honor, honestly. And so thank you so much for taking the time to come on and just share your experience, share the knowledge that you have when it comes to, doing mission trips. And we hope that you can come back to at least just show us what you do on the mission trips so that people who are excited or interested that want to do it can see some of the, the stuff that you guys do and just, great pictures. And you can even talk about, the tour going out to see maybe the safari in, Kenya and everything, because it's an awesome safari in Nairobi. But you also get to serve and help people. So thank you so much, Doc, for taking the time.
No problem. Thank you so much. I'm really so grateful for having me on the show today.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Truth Be Told. The opinions on this episode are just that, our opinions. Please consult your dental professional before taking any action with your dental health. If you have any questions about anything you heard on this episode, please contact us at Real Dentist with an S. That's REAL Dentist with an S at gmail.com. We would be very happy to return any message that we receive because we love the communication that we have with our listeners.